Today, I'm going to teach you how to make this beautiful chunky handbag. I'm Rose and welcome to my channel. We are using KC Knit and Crochet Cozy, and it is in the Seashell color. You will also need a crochet hook. I'm using 9mm, a pair of scissors, a needle, and you will also need 4 placeholders. First, you're going to leave about a 2-foot tail. Then you're going to make a slip knot. Now you're going to chain 40. When you get to chain 40, you're going to follow the chain all the way back to make sure it's not twisted, and then make a slip stitch back into the first stitch. Make sure that the flat side is on the inside of the loop because that's where we're going to be working into for round 2. For round 2, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to half double crochet into the second stitch from the hook. Now you're going to half double crochet into the second stitch, and you're going to half double crochet all the way around until you get to the other side for round 2. When you come to the end of round 2, you're going to half double crochet into the last stitch, and then you're going to slip stitch into the top of the first stitch of round 2. For round 3, you're going to chain 1 and half double crochet into the first stitch. Then you're going to half double crochet into the same stitch again. Now we are going to skip the second stitch and place 2 half double crochets into the third stitch. We're going to skip the 4th stitch and place 2 half double crochets into the 5th stitch, and we are going to continue this pattern all the way around for round 3. When you come to the end of round 3, you're going to continue your pattern all the way up until the last stitch, and you're going to place 2 half double crochets into that last stitch also. This stitch is going to be the first stitch in row 4, and we're going to continue without slip stitches. For round 4, we're going to skip the first stitch and we're going to work into the second stitch with 2 half double crochets. Now we're going to skip the third stitch and we're going to place 2 half double crochets into the fourth stitch. They should be lining up right on top of the other 2 half double crochets that we did in round 3. Again, skip stitch 5 and place 2 half double crochets into stitch number 6, and we're going to continue this all the way around for a total of 10 rounds. As a child, I would go visit my grandparents for about 2 weeks every summer, and every night as we would watch TV, my grandma would sit on the couch and pick up a ball of yarn and a crochet hook, and she would make the most beautiful blankets and doilies. One year she made my brother and myself our Christmas stockings. And one day when I was about 8 years old, as I was watching her make something with her yarn and hook, I decided to ask her if I could try to make something also. And she was a little hesitant, maybe not sure if I was really going to get the hang of it or not, but she gave me some yarn and a hook, and she showed me how to make a chain and then maybe even a single crochet. And from there I picked it up in high school and then again in college, and after I had kids I made them all kinds of fun hats and things. And it all started with my grandma, who took the time to teach me how to make a chain and maybe a single crochet. And I wondered if there's anyone in your life that took the time to teach you how to crochet also. Now we're going to take our bag and turn it upside down, and we're going to flip it inside out away from you so that our yarn ball doesn't get caught when we stitch the bottom. The extra tail that we made at the beginning, we're going to pull down from the bottom. Now you want to make sure that that tail is on the left hand side like this, and then we are going to turn our work and stitch the bottom. Now the tail should be on the right, and if you left a long enough tail to slip stitch or single crochet the bottom, then that's good. I did not, and I tried, but I had to then go back and stitch it with the needle. Now let me show you why I love these wool needles. It has this big loop at the end, and this yarn is pretty thick and it goes right on. It doesn't matter how thick the yarn is. These wool needles can get it right on every time, and I even use them for the thinner yarn now. I really like these needles. To stitch the bottom of this bag, I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to go back and forth through the stitches. Just try to get into the bottom stitch on both sides. This yarn specifically kind of pulls through the fibers, so I would suggest going slow so that it doesn't keep catching for you. When you come to the end, you're just going to make a knot, and then you're going to tuck your ends. Now let's flip the bag back to the right side again. To add the handles, we are going to add our stitch markers. First, I counted how many stitches I had all together on the one side, and there were 20. So I decided to place the stitch markers at 6 on both sides, and I just counted from each side until I got to 6. And I did the same on the other side. For round 11, we're going to continue our pattern until we get to our stitch marker. When you get to the stitch with the place marker, then you're just going to add 2 half double crochets into that stitch, and now we are going to chain 9. When you get to the next stitch marker, place 2 half double crochets into that stitch also. Now you will continue your pattern until you get to the next stitch marker. When I got to the next stitch marker, I realized it wasn't in a stitch that had 2 half double crochets, and I thought I was going to have to reconfigure my bag, but instead I just went into the stitch right before it on both of them, and it worked out just fine. It might be just a little off, but it ended up working just fine. When you get to the stitch right before the stitch marker, you're going to chain 9. Then in the stitch right before the 4th stitch marker, you're going to place 2 half double crochets into that stitch, and then continue the pattern as usual for the rest of round 11. I just wanted to check to see if the handles were level, and they both line up about the same, so I don't think you're going to notice too much of a difference. For round 12, we're going to continue our pattern until we get to our handle. When you get to the handle, you can decide to go into the stitches or around the chain. I decided to go around the chain, and I'm placing 12 half double crochets around the chain. Now, you might end up with more or less depending on how many you would like, but 12 seemed to be a good number for me. And this is what the handle will look like after you have placed all your half double crochets around the chain. Now we will continue our pattern starting with the 2 half double crochets right at the end of our handle. My yarn kept giving me a hard time off the spindle because it was right at the end, and I was a little afraid that I was going to run out of yarn before I finished the handbag, but it was just enough. So if you would like to make this pattern with this yarn, you have just enough yarn to get all the way around to make this handbag. Again, you'll make 12 half double crochets around the chain to make the handle, and then you will continue the pattern until the end of round 12. You can end round 12 with a slip stitch on either side. I decided to end it on the other side just to make it look a little more even. And then you will cut your yarn and tie off. This is the end of the handbag before I tuck my ends, and you can see the inside looks very nice. And now I'm going to tuck my ends. I wanted to show you how I'm going to tuck my ends for this handbag, because after making them for so many years and gifting them, I've learned that if you're gonna tuck your ends up top, after a while the ends start to come out. So I'm going to take my end all the way down to the bottom as far as I could go if I left a long enough tail. But for this one, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom and tuck it in the crease at the bottom. So with this yarn, the fibers do pull apart if you go into it with your needle. So just be careful and then pull it all the way down, and we're going to go into the seam at the bottom of the bag. I'm going to flip the bag inside out and go on the inside. So here's the inside of the bag, and I'm going to go into the seam at the bottom so that if the yarn does come out and you see it, it's going to be at the bottom of the inside of the bag instead of at the top by the handle. Here's the handbag all finished. You can add a button or a zipper so that you can close it. Here's the inside of the bag. When I watch tutorials, I like to see all the angles of the finished product. So here is the inside, and then I will also show you the back. So this is exactly what it's gonna look like. I hope you enjoyed crocheting this handbag with me today. And until next time, eat, sleep, pray, and crochet. Thank you so much for watching.